Talking more about politics this evening. Orange County Register political reporter Peggy Lowe joins us now. We're glad you made it down on this rainy night.
I'm soggy, but I'm here.
Okay, we'll take a soggy Peggy Lowe any day of the week.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about the Sheriff's Department first and foremost. How are things going over there? What's the word?
Well, clearly, Jack Anderson is in this segue of being the interim sheriff and filling in for Sheriff Mike Corona. I need to start learning, however, to say former sheriff. Yeah, I'm still getting used to that. Yeah. So he's very busy doing that. Meanwhile, the Supes are very busy deciding, okay, how are we going to pick a new sheriff? This coming Tuesday, they're going to further say what will happen, and I'm hearing what they'll do is a national search.
A national search.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And for all the folks here in Orange County, which we could start naming easily just a half a dozen off the top of our heads who really want that job, is this just something that they have to do? They have to open it up nationally or maybe cast a wider net in order to make it seem really fair?
They don't have to look nationally. They can really do anything they want. They could name this guy on Tuesday, but they said that they really want to look everywhere. They know it's a very important decision because whoever is in there through 2011, Corona's term, will be the incumbent. And whoever, then if that guy chooses to run, and probably that guy will, incumbency is very, very powerful. So there's several guys involved. The union is already having a vote online about, who their membership might want. Of course, we've talked about Santa Ana Police Chief Paul Walters, and we've talked about former Lieutenant Bill Hunt. We've talked about Craig Hunter from Anaheim, Ralph Martin from Los Angeles, and now Ken Maddox has jumped into it too.
How much is they still trying to play this behind the scene game? Because I know that's something that kind of disgusts a lot of people because the supervisor said this is going to be an wide open search.
Well, I do believe it will be wide open. And so far, I'm not hearing that there's a set candidate even coming out of the Supes, coming out of the 5th floor of the County Hall of Administration. That's why there will be this national search. I don't, certainly there are a lot of people in those offices and lobbying, but I'm not hearing that there's any set candidate.
And what kind of influence does the sheriff's union actually have? Any at this point over the supervisors?
Right. Well, here's what's the interesting part. Essentially, when asked to place his bio within this online survey, Jack Anderson said to the union membership, please don't do this. Please don't get involved. The Board of Supervisors is going to, name their candidates and just don't get involved. That, of course, angered some people in the union.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is that even if one of the guys gets the endorsement, and from what I understand, Hunt right now is the most popular guy among the rank and file, that's not really going to bode that well with a lot of the supervisors. Supervisor John Morlock, for instance, doesn't really like that union and is trying to cut its pensions. So I don't know. An endorsement from the union could hurt a candidate.
Okay, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but what if the supervisors name some guy that the sheriff's union just can't, no way, they just cannot stand this person for whatever reason? What is that possible? I know anything's possible. But then what? What ground do you have?
It's absolutely possible. I mean, let's look at the last election. They endorsed Bill Hunt. They didn't endorse their own sheriff, Mike Corona.
Right.
They have to take what is handed to them.
They do.
Absolutely. It's a paramilitary organization. They have to be run from on high.
Okay, and Ken Maddox, for folks who don't know much about Ken, throwing his hat into the ring.
Right. We haven't heard a lot about that. He announced it to Frank Mickadite, our columnist. He's a former state legislator, former cop. He was a cop for just about 8 years, I believe. So he certainly is certified to be a peace officer, so he could absolutely be in the running.
Switching to the Board of Supervisors, Janet Wynn's seat, it seems that it's getting hot right now for replacing her, trying to get her out of office.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
Well, it's really fascinating. I mean, that election, if you guys recall, was a year ago, and here we are still talking about it. So the big thing now is this. The Court of Appeals ruled, and Trung Nguyen did not win that appeal. So Janet basically gets to stay in the seat. The court said, hey, Trung Nguyen, you didn't provide any evidence that you have more legal votes than Janet Nguyen. Mm-hmm. So Janet stays in office. Meanwhile, candidates are lining up, or not lining up. For instance, we thought the Democrats would put up Joe Dunn. He was their, favored guy, and he's not running. I think there was some polling done that showed he might not do that well, so he's not running. So the Democrats are really left without a candidate at this point, which is pretty fascinating. Meanwhile, though, another Vietnamese American has jumped in, Dina Nguyen. So now we have 3 wins in the race for 1st District.
And Dina Nguyen, what's her motivation?
She's a Garden Grove City Councilwoman. She's an attorney, and she's one of Van Tran's loyal posse. And so it's seen as Van Tran going up against Janet once more.
Once again. And Trung Nguyen, as you said, he lost in the Court of Appeals. Is that it now?
I talked to him this morning. He said he's still absolutely in. 110% in is what he said. But we'll see after some meetings that are going on today and the rest of the week.
Okay. Very good. Peggy, thanks so much. Good to have you in.
I'm sure we'll talk next week about the GOP endorsement. That's kind of what's going on. We'll
We absolutely
see about
will.
that.
Okay. Thanks, Peggy.
Thanks, Peggy.